Today, we're diving into something huge, the future of Turkey's entire medical supply chain. The country's top health officials and the biggest names in the industry just got together for a major workshop. And what they talked about, well, it could change the game for the nation's health security for years to come.
So what really happens when you get all those heavy hitters in one room? Their whole conversation was built around three big questions. And we're going to use those questions as our roadmap to figure out what went down. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. We've got to look back, because to really understand the challenges they're facing right now and their vision for what's next, you have to appreciate the massive transformation that's already happened. So the moderator kicks things off with a really powerful question. Over the last decade, what has really changed? Was it just a few small tweaks here and there? Or was it something much bigger? You could feel the anticipation in the room.
And the answer? Absolutely stunning. 100%. I'm not kidding. Everyone in the room agreed that very significant developments had taken place. This wasn't just some polite nod. It was a huge vote of confidence. It showed that they're all starting from this shared belief that real positive change is possible.
So what exactly sparked this revolution? Well, the experts pointed to three key game changers. First, the state supply office got involved and put an end to the crippling payment problems. That was huge. Then, the health market system came along, bringing in much-needed standards and quality control. But maybe the biggest shift of all was cultural. Suddenly, top-notch domestic products could succeed based on how good they were, not on who you knew. It totally leveled the playing field.
Just try to imagine what that shift felt like. The whole industry went from this state of constant stress, are we even gonna get paid for this, to a system that was predictable, that was routine. It just goes to show you how a few smart institutional changes can completely reshape an entire sector. Truly revolutionary.
But you know how it goes. You solve one set of problems, and a whole new one comes into focus. So, with all that progress behind them, the conversation turned to the single biggest challenge that the industry is grappling with right now.
The next question was simple. What is the weakest link in the chain today? And the answer came back loud and clear. As you can see, a whopping 45%, nearly half of the experts, all pointed their fingers at the same thing: the reimbursement policies of the Social Security Institution, or SGK. That's the government body that decides what gets paid for.
And boom, you could feel the tension ratchet up. This slide just nails the central conflict. On one side, you have the industry saying, hey, we're completely shut out. We have no say in decisions that make or break our products. But on the other side, the SGK is saying, whoa, not true. Our process is totally consultative. We talk to scientific committees. It's a complete break in communication.
Then, someone from the Turkish Pharmacists Association stepped in with a really important dose of perspective. They framed it as this classic, thorny issue of pharmacoeconomics. It's an incredibly delicate balancing act. You have to keep costs under control, for sure. But if you squeeze those prices too hard, you risk chasing away the innovative companies that develop new treatments. And in the end, who gets hurt? The patients. It's all about finding that sweet spot.
So, the problem has been laid bare. Now for the exciting part. The whole discussion shifted to the future. How do you actually build a supply chain that's not just efficient, but resilient and self-sufficient? People threw out a few ideas, like creating strategic reserves or giving more support to local manufacturers. But as you can see, one idea just blew everything else out of the water. Almost half the room, 48% of them, got behind this one really bold concept: a full-scale national mobilization. So what in the world does national mobilization even mean? It's not just about working together. It's about the state, private industry, and universities all locking in on a single shared goal. Think of it like a world-class orchestra, where every single instrument is playing the same note in perfect harmony. And the model everyone kept bringing up? Turkey's own defense industry, where exactly this kind of focused, state-led push created a global powerhouse. But right as this idea was gaining serious momentum, someone brought up a really critical point. You can't just copy and paste the defense model. Why? Because the two sectors are built completely differently. The defense industry relies on a handful of huge companies. But the medical sector, it's this complex, sprawling ecosystem of thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. A simple copy-paste job just isn't going to fly.
This is where the idea of adaptation comes in. An agency like the Turkey Health Institute's presidency, or TUSEB, would need to step up and play a whole new role. It wouldn't just be about funding research anymore. It would have to become the conductor of this entire orchestra, figuring out what the country actually needs. supporting R&D all the way from a brilliant idea to a finished product, and, this is the most important part, guaranteeing there's a market for it by promising to buy it.
So, after all of that discussion, where does this leave us? The big takeaway is this. After a decade of laying the groundwork, Turkey is now standing at a massive crossroads. It has a fundamental choice to make about its future. And that choice really boils down to two very different paths. Path A is the safe route. Just keep making small, steady improvements. It's lower risk, sure, but the progress is going to be slow, and it could leave the country exposed the next time a global crisis hits. Path B is the bold move. Launch that full-scale national mobilization. The risks are definitely higher, but the payoff could be transformative, a completely self-reliant medical industry. And throughout the entire workshop, one thing became crystal clear. The stakes here are about as high as they get. We're not just talking about economics or industry policy. This is about national resilience. You could even say it's about national survival.
And that brings us to the final, powerful question that kind of hung in the air after all the talking was done. If a nation's health truly is its ultimate security, then what is the real cost of leaving that security in someone else's hands?